Everyone, welcome to the third lecture of current electricity. So till now we have covered the electric current, the meaning of electric current, why does it flow, what is the cause of electric current, flow of electric charges in metallic conductor. So we have seen the charge carriers in different type of materials like solid, liquid or gases. And in specific case we have seen charge carriers in metallic conductor, what is drift velocity and mobility, and we have also derived the relation between the electric current and mobility. So today we will start our lecture with a very fundamental law of electricity, that is Ohm's law. So I hope that all of you must be aware of the symbols of electric circuit. This symbol is for voltmeter. Voltmeter is used to calculate potential difference between any 2 points, and voltmeter is also connected in parallel connection, as you can see it from the figure. And this is ammeter. Ammeter measures the value of current in the circuit. This is the battery, or we can say cell. Battery is the combination of cells. If I combine many cells, then it will constitute a battery. So this is a cell which is the cause of electric current in the circuit, and this is rheostat which provides the variable resistance in this circuit. So if in any circuit, suppose this is one kind of circuit, and in any circuit if we plot the variation of current with potential, then the potential and current are always in proportion. For example, so Ohm was a scientist and he saw that with the variation of V, I and V are in proportion. So Ohm observed that there is some pattern and saw that these two, V and I, are directly proportional to each other. I was in ampere and V was in volt. When I was 0, V was 0. When I was 1 ampere, V comes out to be 2 volt. Or when I is equals to 2 ampere, V comes out to be 4 volt. So he saw that there is some pattern or there is some relation. As we increase I, in the same pattern V increases with some proportionality. So Ohm concluded that potential difference applied across a conductor is directly proportional to current flowing in it, provided all other physical conditions like temperature or pressure remain same. Means in the other physical conditions, temperature or pressure remain same, then if we increase I, V increases accordingly, or V and I are in proportion to each other when other physical quantities are constant. So from this statement we can say that V is directly proportional to I, or if we remove this proportionality sign, there is a constant comes in the picture, and this constant is called resistance, or R is equal to V divided by I. If I plot a graph between V and I, suppose this is V, this is I, as you can see V and I are directly proportional to each other, and the graph comes out to be a straight line as V and I are proportional to each other. So the graph between V and I comes out to be like this, and the slope of this graph gives resistance. Means if this is dV and this is dI, then dV upon dI will give us dR, or the resistance, the value of resistance. As you know, the slope of the line gives us the value of resistance. So there is one question, which line will show higher resistance? Means there are two curves between, or you can say two lines 1 and 2 between V and I, and the question is which line will show higher resistance. So higher resistance is calculated by dV upon di. So keeping di common, we will plot dV like this. Suppose this is the area showing di. This is the di for graph number 1 and graph number 2. So value of di is same for these two. This is di and this is di. Now we will see dV. So this is dV2 and this is dV1, and we know that R is equal to dV upon di. Here I write R is equal to dV upon di, and from this graph this line 2 is higher than line 1, and this distance, because di is common for both the two lines, so di is same for these two, but dV for line number 2 is greater than dV for line number 1. So here dV2 is greater than dV1. So here we can say the R2 will be greater than R1. So resistance for second curve will be greater than resistance for the first curve. So till now we have discussed the practical phenomena of Ohm's law, or the Ohm's law which was seen practically. Now we will calculate or prove the Ohm's law analytically. So now proof of Ohm's law. As we know, the relation between I and Vd is I is equals to NEAVD, where N is the density of current carriers, E is charge on one electron, A is area of cross section, and Vd is the drift velocity. And while calculating the relation of drift velocity with electric field, we have seen that Vd comes out to be E tau divided by m, where E divided by m is the value of acceleration and tau is the relaxation time. So putting this value in this equation, I get I is equals to NEA. In the place of Vd, I will write E tau divided by m. E is again charge on electric carrier, charge carrier, or charge on one electron, and E is electric field, tau is relaxation time, and m is the mass of electron. So from here I can write it as N E square A E tau divided by m. We can write electric field in terms of potential and the distance. If L is the length of the wire, so E can be written as V divided by L. The relation between electric field and potential is dE is equal to dV divided by dr. So I can write in terms of length E as E is equal to V divided by L. So I put it here and it comes out to be NE square tau A divided by m, tau A, and this is V divided by L. This is the formula for I. I is equals to NE square tau A divided by m into V divided by L. So if I write V upon I, it comes V divided by I will be equal to mL divided by NE square tau A. So as you can see, m is the mass of electron, L is the length of the wire, N is number density, E is charge on electron, tau is average relaxation time, and A is area of cross section. All these things are constant, so this whole can be written as one constant, that is R. So from here V upon I is equals to some constant, and this constant is R. So from here I can write V is equal to I into R, and this is the proof of Ohm's law. Here E and M are constants of electron, N is constant for given material or metal. At constant temperature, tau is also constant, and A and L are constants for a given sample. So finally V is equals to IR, or I is directly proportional to V, or we can write V is directly proportional to I. This is Ohm's law. We have seen in the Ohm's law V is equals to IR, where R is the resistance of the conductor. But if in a conductor we see the resistance of conductor depends upon the following factors. Number 1, length. If you have a conductor whose length is equal to L and area of cross section is A, then how resistance of a conductor depends upon its dimensions like length and area of cross section. Number 1, length. If the length of a conductor increases, then resistance also increases. It means we can write R is directly proportional to L. As in a conductor, the resistance is due to the collision of electrons or collisions of charge carriers in it. If the length of the conductor increases, then electrons have to travel a longer distance, and if they travel longer distance, they suffer large number of collisions. That's why when length of a conductor increases, resistance also increases, because there will be more number of electric collisions. It is seen that resistance is inversely proportional to area. Means if the area of cross section is small, the resistance will be higher. As there will be less space for electrons to travel, they will collide more and resistance will be higher. If the area of cross section increases, the space for the collision will increase, or it will be easy to pass the electron from one point to another compared to this situation. So here resistance will decrease. So we can say as the area increases, resistance decreases. So R is inversely proportional to area of cross section of conductor. So we have seen that R is directly proportional to L and inversely proportional to area of cross section. Combining both, we get R is directly proportional to L divided by A. So if I remove the proportionality sign, a proportionality constant comes. This is rho, and this is called specific resistance or resistivity of material. So this is the formula. R is equals to rho L divided by A. If L is equals to 1 unit and area of cross section is also 1 unit, then R is equal to rho. So from this equation we can define the specific resistance as the specific resistance of a conductor is the resistance of a unit length with unit area of cross section of the material. In analytical proof of Ohm's law, R comes out to be equal to ml divided by ne square tau A. So from this formula, rho is equal to Ra divided by L. So if I put value of R in this equation, then rho comes out to be m divided by ne square tau. So resistivity is equal to resistance of a block of conductor across two opposite faces which have area of cross section unity and distance between them as 1 unit. So the definition of resistivity or specific resistance, we have made it this definition from the formula R is equals to rho L upon A, By putting L is equals to unity, that is the length of the conductor is equal to 1 and area of cross section is equal to 1, R comes out to be equal to rho. So the specific resistance or resistivity is defined when length and area of cross section of the conductor is 1. Resistivity and resistance are two different things. Resistivity is not resistance. As you can see it from the formula, R is equals to V upon I. This is resistance and unit of resistance is ohm, but unit of resistivity is ohm meter and formula for resistivity is RA divided by L. So this was the resistivity of a conductor. Now we will see the conductivity of a conductor. So electric conductivity of a conductor is defined as reciprocal of its resistivity. As we know, the formula for resistivity are RA divided by L, or rho is equals to M divided by Ne square tau. So electrical conductivity sigma is the reciprocal of its resistivity. So its unit will be equal to per ohm per meter, and per ohm can be written as mho or Simon. So it is mho per meter or Simon per meter. Next important term is current density. As mass density is equal to mass divided by the volume, as mass is distributed throughout the volume, so mass density is equals to mass divided by volume. In the similar way, the current density J is equals to I upon A. It means the current passing or flowing per unit area of the conductor is called current density, provided the area should be held in the direction of the normal to the current. Suppose this is any cross sectional area and current is passing like this. This is the value of current and this is cross sectional area. Then current density J will be equal to I divided by A. This is our current density. If area is like this, tilted area, and current is flowing like this is I, then we will take that component of area which lies normal to the direction of current, means this area. You can see when the cross sectional area was tilted like this, the area component was in this direction. This was the area component. Now I have tilted it by an angle theta, and now the area vector is also in this direction. This area vector normal to the area vector in the direction of current. So if the angle by which I tilted the area is theta, then this component will be equal to A cos theta. So J can be written as I divided by A cos theta, or I will be equal to J A cos theta, or I can write it as the dot product of J and A. So J is current density. So current density can be defined as the current density at any point in a conductor is defined as the amount of current flowing per unit area of conductor, provided the area is held in the direction normal to the conductor. You can see it from the figure that in this case the area was tilted like this. Now I have rotated the area perpendicular to the direction of electric current. So current density J is equals to I divided by A, or I divided by A cos theta, and I is the dot product of J and A. Next is relation between J, sigma and E, which is called microscopic form of Ohm's law. So J is current density and sigma is the conductivity and E is electric field. From Ohm's law we know V is equals to IR, or I can be written as V divided by R, and I in terms of current density can be written as J into A. So I write J into A in the place of I, and in the place of V, the relation between E and V is equals to V divided by L. So V can be written as E into L. E into L divided by R. As R is equals to rho L upon A, so I write it here, rho L divided by A. So after rearranging this, LL cancels out, AA cancels out. So J is equal to E divided by rho. This is current density, this is resistivity or specific resistance, and E is electric field. So we need sigma here. Sigma is conductivity and sigma is equals to 1 divided by rho. So J is equals to sigma into E. This is the relation between J, sigma and E. Or in the vector form, it can be written as J is equals to sigma into E vector. So this is all for today. Today we started our lecture with Ohm's law. First we saw the theoretical or practical form of Ohm's law, that is V is seen directly proportional to I when physical quantities like temperature or pressure remain constant. We saw the graph between V and I that comes out to be a straight line, and the slope of V and I curve gives the value of R. And after that we proved the Ohm's law by a relation I is equals to NEAVD, where R comes out to be ml divided by NE square tau into A. Then we saw a term, specific resistance or resistivity of a material. The resistivity and resistance are not same. The unit of resistivity, conductivity, that is proportional to that is inversely proportional to resistivity, and lastly current density, the relation between current density and current, and finally the relation between J, sigma and E, which is called microscopic form of Ohm's law, and J comes out to be equal to sigma into E. In the next lecture we will see other interesting topic of this chapter, and we will see some numericals related to today's lecture. Thank you for watching this video.